right on time. Hello, everybody. How are you today? You all look gorgeous as always. Let's launch into this one because I'm trying out my balcony and I'm conscious that I might run out of power right at the very last minute. So I don't want to waste a minute of our time. We have JS Arquin here, and I'm so excited because I have joined JS's Facebook group, and I was sure that I would be an accent expert. It is such a brilliant concept and idea. And I see them all just knocking it out of the field. And I never, the first like 3 accents when I didn't do a lick of homework, and then I realized like that was the day you were presenting. I thought if I get JS on here and then I'm forced to sit still for a whole hour and figure it out, then I'll be able to like join in properly. So JS is an actor. He's one of us. He's a narrator. He's got years of acting experience. He's quickly becoming quite a successful narrator. He's piling on the books. Since I met you even, JS, you're always busy. And he is a connoisseur of accents. And I am fascinated by the success you've had in setting your group up. And I'd love to hear, first, I mean, throughout the call, you guys will get to know JS a little bit more if you don't already. But I'd love to hear how you came up with the concept, because I think I've not seen or heard anything like it. Oh, don't forget, if you have questions, type question before in the chat box. If not, I'll assume you're talking about your potted plants and your dinner. Okay, so JS, how did you come up with this genius idea?
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, you say I'm a connoisseur of accents. I'm a student of accents. I'm by no means an expert. Like you said, I come from a theater background. I was a theater actor for many years. But, you know, in the theatrical world, you get a role. You have one accent to work on. You might have, you know, at least a month to prepare for it. And I quickly learned in the audiobook world that auditions pop up. You know, there might be 5 accents in there. You're gonna have about 24 hours to, you know, get your clip in and get it recorded, and there's just not time to learn them on the fly. And so I was unable to audition for many projects that looked very interesting because I was just like, ooh, I want to learn that accent, but I don't have it in my pocket right now. And
Right.
so, you know, I was like, okay, so as an audiobook narrator, you need to be a generalist. You need to have as many accents, at least, you know, some kind of idea of what they entail as possible.
Yeah.
Um, and it was constantly on my to-do list, you know, learn more accents,
Yeah.
devote more time to learning accents. But like you, I put way too many things on my plate all the time. I'm constantly busy. And so it kept getting pushed off to the side. I never made that time to actually learn the accents. And so last year, actually, my New Year's resolution was, you know what? I'm going to force myself to make time to learn more accents. And so I decided, let's make a group. Let's make a workout group. You know, I'm sure there's other people that feel the same way. And so I just kind of made the page and threw it out there. I was like, hey, this is my resolution. I'm going to be trying to learn a new accent every few weeks. Anyone else thinks that's interesting? Like, come on, let's do it. So, you know, it's just an open, non-judgmental place to get your feet wet and just try things and experiment and, you know, kind of organically build your accent repertoire over the
So
course of, you know, your life.
before, sorry, I'm dying to ask you before we get into the weeds of it all,
Hmm.
do you actually retain any of it? Do you remember like the first accent you did a year ago, or are you just generally talented at retaining it, or do you think that the exercise alone opens up those pathways in your brain so that you become a person more able to retain those things?
I will say all of the above.
Okay, good. Well, that's
No, but
good.
I take notes. Obviously, every accent we do, I take notes. Over what we do is we take 3 weeks to focus on one accent. During those 3 weeks, uh, everyone does their research. You post helpful tips and YouTube videos and whatever pertaining to that accent to the Facebook page. I tag them with that accent, so we're building a trove of knowledge related to all the accents that we've covered. You can always go to the page, just search whatever accent, be like, oh yeah, right, these are
Oh,
the
because it's
relevant
always there in
facts
the
of that accent.
group.
It's always there in the group.
Yeah,
Exactly. We're building a knowledge base. So
I
even
never
if I,
realized.
yeah. So even if, I maybe just got only retained a little bit of it, if it comes up, I can go back to the group and be like, oh yeah, I did that one. What was it? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, right. Yes. Okay. These are the relevant features of that accent. And I can kind of quickly brush up on it in my mind and put in the audition.
Okay, so how exactly does it work? Like, run me through what you mean by doing your research and what you prepare and what you guys do on the night that you guys meet.
Sure. It's honestly it's free form. You've got to do your own homework, honestly. Each person, like I said, you research. Some people have accent books, some people do YouTube searches, whatever it is, we'll share whatever we find. We're like, oh, this is a good video. This person really covers it well. Um, and then sometimes you have a discussion. Sometimes somebody else will chime in and be like, actually, that person is spot on this and this and this, but they're actually missing on this one. Like, that's not right.
Oh,
And so
okay.
that's good. It
So
helps to
like
clarify
actors or
sometimes.
something, or they'll put a video up of a certain person doing an accent
Yeah,
and
actors
people will
or acts.
compare.
There's a lot of accent experts, accent teachers who have YouTube videos out there. Those are generally the good ones to kind.
Okay.
Linguists sometimes put up videos. And so it's just free form. Each person kind of does their own research and shares their research over those 3 weeks. I post a short script just about 30 to 45 seconds, very short piece that we all record. And then we get together at the end of the 3 weeks and have a Zoom critique session, just kind of friendly. We listen to each other's clips, we give each other feedback. And honestly, I learn a lot during the feedback sessions usually, because, then people will be like, okay, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I think I should be hearing. And I'll be like, oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So I learn as much at the critique sessions as I do studying on my own usually.
I love that because it takes some of the pressure. Because every time I've taken an accent class, I mean, the hardcore ones, the real connoisseurs, you're like study your physiology and that's I think goes back to like if I'm going to be Bridget Jones and I've got like, 7 months to prepare for my role and, I would probably go and lose weight on that one as well if I've got all that time. But when I've got 4 days for an audiobook, you know, definitely not
Yeah.
losing the weight and probably not learning the accent.
Right. Which is why, like I said, it's nice to just get that little foundation. I myself have, recently landed a book doing an accent that I learned over the past year in the group. I know other members of the group have done the same. So it's just, yeah, it's just kind of getting that foundation and getting that habit of, as you said, your ear improves, your ability to, mimic and identify the sounds improves. It's just practice. It's
I
just kind of
think I
having a
think that
supportive
I
environment
like
to
that.
practice.
But I think you're right. I think it might be like a muscle, like if I
Absolutely.
was a singer teaching my brain that I can do it, opening the neural
Hmm.
pathways. It would seem that that would be the benefit. How many people are like show up on the feedback sessions?
I mean, it varies. Generally, we probably only have about 5 or 6 on any given week. It's a pretty small session of people who usually participate. We've got people come and go. Some people show up every week. Some people will disappear for a few months and then come back, just kind of depending on their schedule or their interest in learning that particular accent. Um, which is good because then the session doesn't have to be too long. We usually keep it down to about an hour.
I like that. I like that. I think it could telling myself it's an exercise in becoming a better, having a better ear rather than
Hmm.
telling myself I'm learning this specific accent. So do you think that you are, aside from how many accents have you done in the year that you've been doing this? Do you know?
I don't have a count. We've done one every 3 weeks. How many weeks are there in a year? 52. It's been over a year.
56?
It's been
52?
well over a year now. It's been about, what, 14 months now. So I don't know. Anybody? Math?
Yeah,
A lot.
56,
We've done a lot of
78. So you
accents.
probably about 19 or 20 accents.
Yeah.
Probably about 19 or
Sounds
20.
That sounds good. Yeah.
That's brilliant. And so running a community and everything. And I think that's another fascinating thing that people are starting to do in this day of, I think we all expected January 1st. I don't think we might have thought it, but I think in the back of our minds, we kind of thought January 1st, things are going to start to get better. Like life is going to be pretty easy from January 1st on. And then like things still
Right.
happened. I'm getting surprised messages all the time from people going, wait a minute, this is 2021. It's supposed to be fabulous. It's not working out yet. And I think that I've noticed in the last month, people are in hyperdrive, joining groups, joining clubs, setting up communities, because everyone's kind of like, right, we're fed up with this. I want to fix things. So do you have any advice for people that might want to set up a different kind of group, something, so that they can touch, because you've got a great community. Do you think it's fair to say that you've developed friendships and bonds?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That's one of my favorite things about the group, for sure.
Yeah. Have you run other groups in the past, or was this your first one?
No, this is my first one actually. And I was definitely hesitant going into it. I was like, "Oh God, who am I to start this group?" But it's like you want something in the world. You're like, I want this thing to exist, and I can't find it, and the only way to make it happen is to create it. So
Yeah.
that's
And
what I
you're
did.
making your own accountability, aren't you?
Oh yes, yes. That's that's number one. I made my own accountability. Yes.
Especially since you set the group up, so you kind of can't screw up.
Yeah, yeah. I have to show up every session. Absolutely. I think I've missed one. I missed one over the course of the year, and one of the other members was fortunately able to step in and moderate that critique session. But
So what accent did you find the hardest?
ah, that's another good point that comes from just trying all these different accents. Is you discover which ones are easy for you and which ones are not. Um, for me, going into this group, my number one that I wanted to learn, the first accent we did was Australian. I was like, oh, I want to do Australian. I keep seeing it pop up in books. I want to be able to do it so bad.
It's so
I can't
hard.
do Australian. It's my it's
It's
my
so
it's my
hard.
Achilles heel. We've done it twice. I can't do it. It sucks. I've put so much time into it and I just can't do it.
Do you end up sounding British?
I don't know what I end up sounding. The second time we did it, I got a little better. I got nailed a few more of the sounds, but on the whole, I still couldn't do it. We've done New Zealand, and I found that a lot easier actually. I can do Kiwi.
So are you one of those people that is like completely analyzes every sound and memorizes the nuances? Or are you one of those people with a short attention span that just wants to get it to sound good enough to pass the audition and get through the book?
um,
I'm not going to say which
I
one of
would
those people I am.
I I would like to say that I'm the former, but if I'm being honest, I will say I'm probably closer to the latter.
Okay. Okay. And can I
I
check?
just
Sorry,
I
is the
want it. I
group,
want it to sound good enough to pass, but I'm not going to spend 80 hours and going over and over and over my audition clip to make sure I got every little sound 100% spot on.
so it's telling the story at the end of the day. And
Yeah, it's acting at
yeah,
the end of the day.
yeah.
Honestly, the accent is in service to the character. You're acting. In fact, that's one of the things that has come up over and over in the group, is that you know people will often submit clips to the critique sessions that they're so focused on the sounds that the read is just very flat, and there's no life to it. And so someone who actually brings a character to the read, you stop listening to the accent, honestly. You're just like, oh, you're so swept up in the emotion of the character and the read that you're like, the accent's great. I don't care. I'm not listening to that. I'm listening to you perform. So that's
Right
that's an
there
important
is,
lesson.
yeah, that's my block. That right there is my block. And it was when I first started with the technical stuff as well. And now it's with accents. Now the technical stuff, like I don't even remember what I didn't know. You know what I mean? I've been doing it so long. But when you first start, people are like, okay, in your booth, it's got to be like a hair's breadth degree next to the axis of the 90-degree, and then always be checking your monitor to make sure the sound is on. Mine is such, and I would go in the booth and I'd be like, I need to like narrate, and I'd spend the whole time like a deer caught in the headlights trying, and then also marking up. When people have you mark up, okay, now highlight. I go in the booth with this like manuscript in the very early days with like 800 colors highlighted and 6 character names, and she gasped because she thinks this at the end of every line, and it ruined it. So that's why I'm suspicious with accents. I want to know enough, get to know the character, and then forget it when I get in the booth.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
that's the point. It is in service to the character. It's not about the accent. It's about the character. You don't want to be up here watching yourself perform all the time.
And are people okay with feedback?
Pretty relaxed. I mean, some people come in and are pretty tense and nervous at first. I've had people come in their first couple sessions, they're afraid to say anything, and they're just like, I don't know. But after a few sessions, people tend to relax and realize that, hey, we're all very friendly. No one's biting your head off. We're just helping each other out, And I'm a very low-key, relaxed person, and so I think kind of I set the tone a little bit as far as that goes.
I know, I've got to say, you're the most low-key, relaxed person I've ever had interview. I sent JX a message this afternoon because I've been on quite a difficult recording thing today, and I forgot. I thought that I'd posted the Zoom and I completely forgot. So I sent him a message, like literally like last minute, saying, oh my God, I forgot to do a Zoom. And Anna's going to post it on the group. And I just got a message back going, yeah, sure. Okay. Whereas most of the guests call up like ahead of time. So do you get stage fright? Because being an actor, do you ever get nervous going on, or have you just always been relaxed and mellow?
Yeah, of course I get stage fright. I mean, in a theatrical setting, I pretty much have mastered it. I get it, but once I'm on, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But I find in unfamiliar performance settings, I still get it. For instance, I recently, a few years ago, I started playing music and writing music for the first time. And the first time I performed one of my own songs live, I was shaking. I was so nervous, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, I've been a performer for years. Why am I this is ridiculous. So yeah, if I'm going into something unfamiliar, I found the same thing to be true if I'm doing a live audiobook read, honestly, like a workshop or something with a coach.
Oh, where you have
If
to
somebody,
narrate in front of like a bunch of narrators that are all sitting there, and you're trying to
yeah,
pretend that you don't think they're going to judge you.
yeah. Like I tried narrating on Discord once, hated it. I was like, nope, this is not for me, not my thing. I like to record in my own little bubble, nobody watching me. I can do as many takes as I want. Yeah, live narration, not for me.
Yeah, I'm I never got stage fright on stage, never once. I always loved it, and I was so offended. I heard somebody say that if you get stage fright, you're a horrible actor because only really bad actors don't. No, only really bad actors don't get stage fright. So you're obviously not into your craft enough because you don't get stage fright. And I loved
What?
it. But singing, I tried to take a singing class, and every time I would try to sing, I would cry. I was so nervous and scared, like terrified to
Mm-hmm.
sing. I mean, especially you wrote the song?
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. It's so personal. I'm used to performing other people's words, right? But like
Yeah.
performing my own words, I was like, oh God, it was crazy.
It's the weirdest thing that, like, what it fascinates me with narrators because every narrator, I notice all the time, narrators always refer to themselves as introverts. I'm an introvert, I'm an introvert. But every single one I've ever said that says they're an introvert is like the life of the party. Like they're on every Zoom call dancing with a lampshade on their heads, but they still say they're introverts. And I'm starting to think, are you guys really introverts, or do you just not like actually like a lot of people, but you still like to party?
I can only answer for myself. I have the ability to be an extrovert. I can turn it on, I can be social, but it takes a lot of energy, you know, and I need a lot of introvert time, you know, around that to kind of recharge my soul or my energy or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not someone that needs to be around people all the time. In fact, that's exhausting to me. So I would definitely describe myself as an introvert who can be extroverted, you know, and sociable and relaxed if the situation
Yeah.
calls for it. You know.
Yeah. If this, yeah. Yeah. I think it's fascinating the things we learn in this community and as part of a group, as part of a, I mean, do you find a difference between the actors you knew in your acting life and the narrators you've met since you've become a narrator?
You know, that's hard to say because most of the narrators that I've met, I've interacted with online. I haven't really interacted with many face to face. So, as you say, when we meet online, everyone seems like an extrovert, but
Yeah.
I highly doubt that that's true.
Yeah. Oh, see, I just assumed that. So, what have you learned that over like this whole year doing different accents? What have you learned about accents, about the process of learning, about people's difficulties with accents?
um, I've learned that not to be as scared of them, first of all, and you know, to know that I'm not gonna nail them all. Nobody's gonna nail them all first try, you know, and it's a process. It's okay to just do the homework. And like I said, we've done Australian twice, and I have put more hours into learning that accent than any other accent because I wanted to get it so bad. And I just, you know, I haven't. And that's okay. You know, it's a process. Some accents you're just gonna be like, bam, oh, this one feels right. I got it. And others you're gonna be like, what is this Martian? I don't, you know, like, cannot
You know the
word.
Irish
What?
accent. You know the Irish accent? I gotta
Uh-huh.
say, it doesn't sound like they think it does in America. I noticed that like I've had so many times they're like, do the Irish accent. And then you do the Irish accent. And then they come back and they're no more Irish. And you're like, by the time they get it, it's like, you know, the characters on Murder She Wrote.
Mhm.
Like when they bring the Irish ones in. Or like Dick
Yeah.
Van Dyke, but a little bit with an
Oh, Dick
Irish
Van Dyke.
twist. They
Oh, that's terrible.
they want it to be like, you know, really, really over the top Irish. And I've lived over here for 20 years. The Irish don't sound like that, guys.
Right. Yeah.
We've got comments. Um, Rebecca says, live true storytelling. Oh, first, somebody says, the group is open to more people, right? Anyone can join or they're,
Absolutely. It's a closed group, but you have to apply to join. Just make sure you answer the membership questions because that's that's my personal pet peeve. If someone doesn't take the time to answer the membership questions, I'm like, I'm not letting you into my group.
my first
It's going to take you two
question
seconds. Answer the
is, I
question.
understand that I have to answer all three questions and they still
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's not rocket science, people. Just answer the questions.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we did have one because you have to be careful when they answer them as well. Because I know, like,
No, I do. I don't automatically let someone in just because they answer the
yeah,
questions. I do make sure that they seem like they're legit.
yeah, I need to do that. I
And
didn't,
that
I
doesn't
was
mean I'm
naively,
judging. I'm not saying like, hey, you need to like be an accent student or a serious, you know, you need to be a real person.
yeah,
That's
you
what I'm
need to
saying.
have not started Facebook 15 minutes ago and have two pictures that are questionable. I was
Yeah.
naive. I never considered that people would lie, which is so stupid. I just assumed if she says she's a narrator, she is.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I've learned. So, accents, acting, I've got a question.
Uh-huh.
Um, okay, so from Mike, I'm a white male of Italian, German, and French descent. Oh, a fellow Italian. Hello, Mike. I feel that even if I'm able to do an accent of someone of a background that isn't mine, that doesn't necessarily mean I should. What's your take on doing accents that aren't your background? Oh, I see what he's saying.
Okay, so this is an own voices question,
Yeah,
which is, you know, obviously a big thing nowadays.
yeah,
But the thing is that as an audiobook narrator, you're going to do books that have 50 characters,
yeah.
and
That was what I
you
was going to
cannot
say.
be you cannot be own voice for all of them. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So, it's your job to do all those different characters, quite honestly. I mean, don't do a cartoon, don't make them ridiculous, like make them real people, but do your best.
Yeah,
But
I had a book
yeah.
recently with an Italian accent, and I had a friend and I reached out that's Italian, can you help me with this? And she basically was like, it's an Italian book, and I had to say no, but it's an American that's living over in Italy, so some characters are, I think that's the difference. If the main
Right.
character is an Italian living in America, I actually have passed it to my friend
Mm.
because because there's not that many books with Italian main characters. Why would I take one of the few that comes along? You know what I mean? Isn't that
Hmm.
right? If it's the main, but you're right. You're going to have to do a lot of big characters
Yeah.
and wear many hats.
I mean, that's the job. Honestly, that's what makes audiobook narrating different from any other form of acting, is the sheer number of characters you're going to be playing.
And the male female element as
Yes.
well.
Yeah,
There's
you're
that thing.
everyone.
Can
Yeah.
I do thrillers? I love thrillers. There are a lot of strong female protagonists in thrillers, and they're done by men.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to ask yourself, so then if a job comes up with a thriller that's got a strong male protagonist in it, what am I going to say if I've got the chance to do it?
Right.
It's hard because I don't think anybody wants to step on feet. You know,
No, of
we're
course not.
we're all careful, unless of course if you got a main character point of view Australian, you jump on that, Jazz, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't. No. I wish I could. I want to. No. I'd have to pass on that one.
Yeah, I do though. I do like the awareness though these days of people of different genders, different, you know, nationalities. I think we look out for each other. So many other narrators pass books on, no, I can't do this, but I know my colleague can do this. I
Yeah.
had somebody
Mhm.
offer me a British book, and I was like, I know a great British narrator. Definitely not me.
Sure, and that's one of the great things about groups like this too, is just the community building. Um, I'm honestly stunned by that aspect. When I started this group, I had no vision of where it was going. I was just like, I need to make myself accountable, and make time in my life to do this thing. And so I'm going to create a group and, hopefully find some other people that would like to do this with me. And I'm shocked at how big the group has gotten, and how far along we are. And just the
That's how
community
this
that's
group
grown.
started.
Yeah, exactly.
I,
It's amazing.
I was like, I have to reach out and get to know some of the new people getting into the audiobook industry because people were starting to feel like new people are taking our jobs. And I didn't want to
Mm.
feel that way. And I thought, well, I'm going to invite people so we're friends because you never think a friend's going to take your job. Um,
Right. In fact, you're happy if your friend gets a job.
exactly. You want them to have the.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a question
That's that.
for you.
Yep.
I always had a, wait. Don't type anymore. I'm losing the question. Okay, hold on. They're
Scroll,
coming in
scroll.
hard and fast. Okay, so Kendra wants to know, recently an author said she wanted a neutral accent. When asked for clarification, she explained she wanted unaccented British. Any ideas what that is? BBC British or Royal RP?
Un
What is
unaccented
unaccented
British.
British?
That's there are a billion British accents. I'm not sure any of them would be called unaccented. I'm guessing just basic
Subtle.
London accent. I don't know.
She probably wanted, because RP isn't unaccented. RP is
No,
a
RP is
very
RP.
distinctive accent.
Yeah, yeah,
See, if
yeah. I
somebody
feel like
said that to me, I would just think, oh, she just means to sound vaguely British and go up at the end of the sentence.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I would go for maybe light, like I said, light RP, or what we would just think of as kind of like general London.
you see, I
At
can't
that
hear
point.
it anymore. I've been here too long. I used to follow people around in the office and try to like imitate every word they said until they made me stop. And I can't hear the accent. I'll be watching a show and somebody will have to ask me, I will have to stop and think what accent they're using because it's just all kind of blended together. Except my husband's from Glasgow, so I didn't ken. I got the Glaswegian down pat, but I can't do British for my life if I
That's weird.
tried.
That's funny. And you've been living there for how long?
The, like 20 something years, and I
Wow.
lived in the Channel Islands. I'm worse. I'm getting more obnoxiously American the longer I'm here. So, what's your best accent?
Uh, that's tough. I don't know what my best is. I've got, I've got half a dozen or so that I really enjoy doing. Um,
So you can
I don't know
audition
that
for anything, can't you?
except Australian.
Somebody says, "Can we hear you talk, speak in an accent?" And Rebecca said, "You're great at Irish."
Oh, my
Yeah,
Irish
let's
isn't
do
that
the
great.
rest of the call in accents. You, not me.
No, that's a terrible idea.
Okay. But think about what freedom that would give us because so many books. And not only that, was it Mike's question earlier, Mike? I think of it more if you've got a pocket full of accents, when you sign up, I completely agree with what JS said about I would never audition for a book that the main character is anything but American. But when you sign up for Ahab or you sign up for any of the rosters for the publishers, they want to know what accent you have. And when you go on speed dating, they want to know what
Hmm.
accent you have. And the more you can tick. And when we had the speed dating practice sessions here before the first speed dating, there were narrators that had like 17 accents. And
Yeah.
I always heard, don't ever say you can do an accent unless you can do it really, really, really well. So I wasn't saying any accents. And they were
Hmm.
saying 17, and then they would like go and learn. So it's what you said. It's not that I know the accent perfectly now, but that I have the ability. Which ones do I have the ability to brush up on fast enough to do a
Yes.
secondary character?
Yes. And like I said, it helps you, just experimenting, you learn which ones you're good at and which ones you're not.
Yeah.
Of all the accents we've done over the last year, several of them I do list as my accents now. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that one. I've got a good enough grip on it. And several
Yeah.
of them I've learned I do not have a good enough grip on it. I'm not putting that on my list, but I wouldn't know it if I hadn't tried it.
And you can't put it on your Ahab profile if you're like, I ask myself before I put it on my Ahab profile, if somebody offered me a book tomorrow with this accent, would I have a heart attack?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And there are a lot of them I would, but if I could do it, that
Sure,
goes
and
a
there's different
long
levels, like
way.
you said too. There are accents that you feel good doing secondary characters with.
Yeah.
There are accents you can do a primary character, and then
Yeah, I
there are
don't have
very
many of
few
those.
that you can maybe do a narrator voice with. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would be cautious because yeah, if somebody tried to give me a full book with a French accent, I can easily do secondary characters, but am I going to be able to pull off, you know, 7 hours?
yeah,
Probably
yeah,
not.
yeah. I've actually, you don't know. It's not our job really to judge ourselves. It's just our job to perform as well as we can and let the casting people judge.
And also, we always walk a fine line. It's hard because we walk a very fine line between being confident and acting as if and saying stepping forward with confidence in what we can do in our job, because as you said, we have to be jack of all trades. We have to be able to take on projects, and a lot of them are going to scare us, but then
Hmm.
we can't promise things that we can't deliver to a professional standard, because then that'll be a legacy that we're living down for the rest of our lives. um,
Absolutely.
it's a fine line, and every time we think we've got it sussed, another book comes up that like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
God,
Yep.
which is
I
good
know.
because we never get bored.
Yeah, it's true. We never get bored, you know. You're always pushing our boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I do like that. Okay, I'm so going to jump in the group. What's your next accent?
Well, we're doing Canadian right now. Our critique session's actually tomorrow for Canadian. And
Oh,
then
is
who
there
knows what we're
really
doing
a
after that? We
difference?
No, there
Can you
is. Sure,
really?
it's slight, but there's certainly, yeah, there are certain words and vowel sounds that are absolutely different. I mean, and even Canadian is not a monoculture. Different parts of Canada, you know, have different accents, just like different parts of the US.
Because to
So,
me, they sound exactly like people from Michigan. Exactly. I can't hear the difference if my life depends on it. And
yeah, maybe Michiganders have a Canadian accent.
possible. I did ask someone and they kind of denied it and got offended. So now so what's after
Uh,
Canadian?
I don't know yet. Honestly, I let the group decide. Whoever shows up for the critique session, at the end of the session, I say, okay, what do we want to do next? Anybody have something they really want to do? And we just open the floor and decide on the spot. There's no set schedule. So if you have something you really want to do, show up to the critique session.
I want to do one. I want to join in. I want to join in. I'm going to do
Yeah,
that.
do it.
Yeah.
And don't be, you know, even if you're too afraid to you know, record a piece and show up, just show up to the critique session and participate. You know, listen to everyone else's clips and, you know, give feedback and participate. That's okay too.
I'm afraid to try the accent in front of another human being and have them tell me the truth.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, some people, and some people, I'm not going to name names, but there are people in our group who were absolutely terrified the first couple times they showed up. Absolutely terrified. You know, showed up a couple times without participating, you know, just kind of sat there with their camera off and their microphone off and kind of lurked, you know. And some of those people have turned out to have excellent ears for accents. You know, once they got over that fear, you know, and started participating, I'm like, oh my gosh, why were you afraid? Like, you're wonderful at this. I'm not, you know, guaranteeing that that will be you, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's the fear. You have to get
And
over
I
the fear
mean, I
first
did
before you can.
burlesque, so there's not a lot that scares me. But I think what it is you know what it is? I grew up with a father from Rome and a mother from America. And there comes a time when you have parents from different countries. They were always fighting because which country are you going to live in?
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't teach us Italian. I spoke fluently Italian until we were like 8 or 9, and we spent every summer there. And then no Italian was spoken. Like my father had his friends over, but they didn't speak directly to us in Italian ever.
Mm.
And we thought if we learned Italian, spoke Italian, we'd have to move there and then we wouldn't get any junk food and Twinkies and we'd have to be like, I don't know, my mother won the fight. So I realized that growing up, my sister and brothers and I laughed that every time we tried to speak Italian, they would laugh at us and they would like put us off. So I've got this like mental block. Like I'm afraid to like, use an
Yeah.
accent, but not in the booth. You know what you say about you go into your booth and you can act you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do anything when I'm alone in my booth in public.
Yeah.
Forget that an audiobook gets listened to by millions of people. You still think you can get away with it.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the most important things about the group, I think, is it's a safe space to experiment. You know,
Yeah,
just try, flail, try to do the accent and fail. Who cares? You know, it's a workshop. We're all
yeah.
just on a journey. We're all just trying.
I like that. I think I'll edit that my whole life story bit out of the final recording. So, so biggest lesson you learned as an actor that you take into your narration?
Whoa, in my life?
Yeah. Biggest obstacle you've overcome,
Oh my
biggest thing that's
goodness.
changed you as an artist, a performer, biggest like
That's
epiphany.
that's a huge question.
Yep.
But I'm gonna go with what I was just talking about, which is don't be afraid to fail. You know, just you can't succeed without failing. You know, you're never gonna succeed at everything the first time you try it. You just gotta try. Just do it. And you might fail and try it again. Don't be afraid to fail.
And were you the one that went on one of the early Joe calls? You go on
I
stilts,
was
don't you?
Yeah, I'm a professional stilt walker
Yeah.
in another life. Absolutely.
So the whole not being afraid thing probably comes naturally. Do you oh, I've got another question. If you're recording a character with an accent, this is from Mike again, with an accent for an audiobook and feel yourself start to lose the accent. Oh, this is a good one. How do you
Hmm.
get yourself back on track?
Well, the same way I get myself on track with any character is that I always make myself audio clips for every character in the book. So I have reference clips. And so, whenever I mean, you come upon a character that hasn't appeared for 10 chapters, you're like, oh shit, what did this character sound like? You just play yourself your little reference audio clip, like, okay, oh yeah, right, that's what they sound like. So yeah, just make yourself reference clips.
Until
Make
you
yourself
get back
notes if you
into
need
them.
to, if you're more of a written word person, make yourself notes. But I do audio clips.
Yeah, that's a good one because I've had some with accents, but they only have like three words, and it's hard to get into the flow of an accent when it's like one statement, like a chapter. You
Yeah.
know what I
Well, you can
mean?
you can also base them on someone else. If there's an actor or a native speaker that speaks with
Mm,
that accent that you're like, oh, this character should sound like that. You can use that as your reference audio clip if you want.
that's a good idea. I like that. I like that. Good question. Thank you, Mike. It's a good question. Okay, so we've got the accents, we've got the group. Um, wow, we're all going to have like 20, 30 accents on our Ahab profile by the end of the year.
I
Aren't you
hope
going to run out of
so.
accents
That's
though
that's my
eventually?
goal. I mean, we're certainly getting more obscure as we go, because we have covered all the big ones. But that doesn't mean that I'm opposed to circling back, because I don't think you ever get anything perfect. Like I'm completely open to going back and doing French and Irish and German and whatever basic. Like I said, the floor is open every critique session for what we're going to do next, and I'm completely
Ironically,
open
I
to
do a
doing
great
anything.
Croatian accent.
Really.
I had to do a book with tons of it. Who knew? I love
That's
that. And
cool.
Southern, you've done all the Southern and all the, do you
We've
do
done
different regions?
we've done several Southern. We did one session where we compared different regions. I think we did Georgia versus Tennessee, I think it was. Uh, yeah. So yeah,
Do you find yourself imitating people when in real life?
absolutely. Yeah,
Do
of
you,
course.
do they get pissed off?
I try not to do it when they're listening, but
Especially if you don't have that accent down pat. You can get in
yeah.
trouble.
I actually get the most self-conscious around native speakers of any accent. I get I'm afraid to put on my RP, for instance, when I'm having a coaching session with Helen Lloyd. Just
Oh, definitely don't. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. Although I do constantly imitate the Glaswegian accent to my husband. It's amazing we're still married. Um, I had a connection problems early. What is the title of the accent group again, please?
Oh, it's
Um,
called And Go.
and go.
Yep.
You're going to have 19 new members
Great. I
waiting
hope
for you when
so.
this call.
Yeah.
Have you saved any? Oh, Nancy wants to know, have you saved any of the group information for later reference recording?
Yes. Uh, wait. Well, during the 3 weeks we're working on a particular accent, we all post clips and tips and whatever we find useful to the Facebook group, and it all gets tagged with that accent. So
But
you can
not
always
the
search.
people doing the session, because that would
No, no,
be,
no, no, no. We don't save. No, people's critique clips. Those are just for practice. Those are
yeah.
just for our in-person sessions. Those are not saved on the group. No.
Because if I thought those were recorded, I probably then would chicken
No,
out.
no, no. It's a like I said, it's a safe space. It's
Yeah,
a place to just try and fail, and nobody's going to hear it but us.
I love that. And I love that it's saved. So if you go back 6 months later and need to revisit it, you can find it, you
Mm-hmm.
can pull it up.
Yes.
I love that. I do like that. Okay, so this is the bit that everyone looks like a deer caught in the headlights for. For our YouTube audience that's going to be watching this in 30, 60, 80 years,
30, 60,
do you
80
have
years. Wow.
any words of wisdom? Any last words you'd like to leave with them? Something deep and, oh wait, Oh no, I've already got that question. Something deep and meaningful,
Something deep and meaningful.
or not meaningful, either way.
I'm gonna keep beating the same drum. You know, we're all human. It's all a journey. Nobody is born perfect or is ever perfect, actually. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try new things. Just keep working. Keep going forward. You know, you're gonna fall down on your face. It's okay. Just get up.
Did I already ask you, why did you start going on stilts? Like,
Uh,
what
why did
makes
I
somebody
start
go, I
going
think
on
I'm going to
stilts?
go up on a stilt? Like,
Well, you know, in the course of my actors training, obviously you're introduced to clowning and stuff like that. And I always found that stuff really fun, you know, like the physical comedy type stuff. And my okay, so this is getting a little off track, but my mother's side of the family actually sells funnel cakes, if you know what those are. Um, so deep fried pastries, for those of you who
oh,
don't know.
okay, okay.
Uh, uh, and they sell them at events, at street fairs and festivals and stuff like that. And so that was kind of like, I knew that this world existed and they made actually a good living doing these types of events. And I was like, I don't like making funnel cakes, but I think it'd be fun to do events like that and travel around and perform. So what can I do? I was like, I can probably teach myself to walk on stilts. So I did.
You taught yourself. You taught
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. I made
Because
my
I
own
was a
stilt.
red-nosed clown and I ran a mile when they pulled those things out. That is the scariest thing on earth to me. How did you not fall and like almost break your neck in the beginning?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. I've never, you know, knock on wood, I've never actually hurt myself on stilts, but I definitely fell some at the beginning, and it was there. It was touch and go for a little while there. But I've never been afraid of heights. I was always the kid that was up in a tree. You know,
Yeah,
I like being up high. So for me, it's fun.
I love that. It's bravery. That's the theme. Um, oh, okay. Question. Are there any specific online resources from Mike asking you like to use when you're learning a new accent? You mentioned YouTube videos earlier. Are there any other resources you like?
Yeah, IDEA, is a great one. It's
Is that the
got
dialect one?
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
sound clips of native speakers being interviewed from all around the world. So you can search from any region and listen to, you know, they'll have multiple native speaker clips from any region. That's a great resource. Um, yeah.
Good, good. Um, are you still
Yep,
there?
that's the one, Rebecca. Yeah,
Yeah,
what Rebecca just said.
International Database of English Archives. I just got a message saying my computer's running low of battery. So
Uh-oh,
just
that's what
in
happens when you're
case we lose
outside.
everyone. Also, what do you think of Accent Help?
Accent help?
Have you
What's
heard of
that?
them?
I don't know accent help.
I'll message you after the call. They do
Okay.
tapes. Maybe I'm calling it the wrong thing, but they do like long tapes
Hmm.
with like 800,000 samples of different accents.
Wow.
Maybe I've got the name wrong. I'll message you after the.
I certainly don't know everything. You might have the name right, and I've just never heard of it.
Okay, okay, I'll definitely. Okay, so international database or Google Idea Scottish, for example. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
love that. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah,
We are
yeah.
going to run out of battery any moment now. Thank you so much for your time, JS. I
Hey.
cannot wait to dive in and properly participate in the group. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll all be accent connoisseurs ourselves soon.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
and
for the invitation. It was a lot of fun.
thanks for coming. And I love the idea. I love the theme, fearless. You're not getting me on a stilt anytime soon.
Well, hopefully we'll at least get you learning some accents.
Yes, get me learning some accents and I'll be happy. Thanks so much, JS. And thanks for
Thanks.
taking the time to join us. Thanks, everyone. Bye, you
Thanks.
guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.